The former producer is now confined to New York and Connecticut, reportedly wearing an ankle bracelet like this.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at celebrities who acted as if the rules didn't apply to them, yet would ultimately face consequences, including jail time in some cases.
What exactly happened? Tell people what exactly happened.
Reese Witherspoon. In 2013, America's sweetheart had a not-so-sweet moment when she pulled the celebrity card on a police officer.
It has become Reese Witherspoon's most talked-about performance of the year, captured by a Georgia State Trooper's dash cam and beamed around the world.
Yup. Reese Witherspoon was riding with her then-husband Jim Toth when he was pulled over for suspected DUI in Atlanta. However, during the stop, Witherspoon reportedly got out of the car despite being told to stay inside and threw out the old "Do you know my name?" line.
Do you know my name, sir?
Don't need to know.
You don't need to know my name?
Not quite yet.
To make things worse, she added, "You're about to find out who I am."
You're about to find out who I am.
That's fine. I'm not real worried about you, ma'am. I done told you how things work.
Reese later admitted she was, quote, deeply embarrassed by the incident, but that doesn't stop this from being a textbook example of celebrity entitlement.
I have no idea what I was talking about, and I am so sorry. I was so disrespectful to him, and I have police officers in my family. I work with police officers every day. I know better.
Gabbor.
This happens every time when I go shopping.
It was the slap heard round Hollywood. The late Gabbor was known for her glamour and sass, but in 1989, she let her ego get the best of her during a traffic stop. After being pulled over in Beverly Hills for driving without a valid license and registration, the Hungarian-American actress and socialite slapped the police officer across the face. She was promptly arrested and charged with battery, among other offenses.
So why were you found guilty?
Because I was Gabbor.
Gabbor later claimed the officer was rude, but let's be honest. Slapping law enforcement because you didn't get red carpet treatment isn't exactly a solid legal defense. Ryan Lochte. Olympic swimmer Ryan Lochte's reputation took a nosedive during the 2016 Summer Games in Rio, going from national hero to scandal magnet almost overnight. You see, after a night of partying, Lochte made a dramatic claim, saying that he and his teammates were robbed at gunpoint.
I was with a couple swimmers. We were coming back from a friend's house, and we got pulled over in our taxi.
The problem? It was all made up. In reality, the athletes vandalized a gas station and were confronted by security.
Now, two of the quartet of swimmers in this now infamous video blaming Lochte for inflaming a standoff that had them hauled into two police stations in Rio.
Lochte's decision to lie, then flee the country, caused an international incident and revealed a staggering sense of entitlement. Ryan eventually issued a public apology, but by then, the damage to his name was already done.
Lochte had released his own tepid apology on Friday for, quote, not being more careful and candid in how I described the events.
Wesley Snipes.
There's worse things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Like me.
Wesley Snipes might have played several badasses over his career, including the vampire hunter Blade, but it turns out he couldn't dodge the IRS. In 2008, the actor was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts of failing to file tax returns, despite the many warnings and notices.
Wesley Snipes has received the maximum sentence.
Meanwhile, his legal team argued that he was misled by bad advisors. The court, however, wasn't buying it. Snipes was sentenced to 3 years in prison and served time from 2010 to 2013. Showing that not even Hollywood stars are immune from Uncle Sam.
So why'd you get locked away?
Tax evasion.
Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf's past behavior has earned him a reputation for volatility, and sadly, a long history of run-ins with the law.
We're going to turn now to that story breaking overnight on Shia LaBeouf taken out of a Broadway theater in handcuffs after an outburst.
However, his 2017 arrest in Georgia highlighted just how entitled the actor could be. While in Savannah filming The Peanut Butter Falcon, LaBeouf was detained for public drunkenness and disorderly conduct.
He's out of jail tonight on $7,000 bond. The actor has been arrested several times on similar charges.
He could be heard berating officers in police body cam footage, even threatening their jobs. His racist and profanity-laden rant also included the actor saying, quote, "I'm an American, I pay my taxes," as if that granted him immunity.
I got more millionaire lawyers than you know what to do with, you stupid.
LaBeouf later showed remorse for his behavior, calling it, quote, "a new low." Robert Downey Jr. Before winning over audiences as Iron Man and Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr. was much better known for his tabloid scandals than his on-screen roles.
Robert Downey Jr. is opening up about his time in prison in the late 90s, saying it was the worst thing that happened to him.
One of the actor's most infamous moments came in 1996 when he broke into a neighbor's home while under the influence and passed out in their child's bed. It marked the second time in 3 weeks that the police had booked Downey. By continuously violating his probation, Downey showed a blatant disregard for the rules. Downey eventually served nearly a year in prison and spent years rebuilding his career and public image, leading to one heck of a redemption arc.
Take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Michael Phelps. Like Ryan Lochte, Michael Phelps is another Olympic swimmer who found himself in hot water. In 2009, a British tabloid published a photo of the renowned athlete using a bong at a party.
Well, a British tabloid ran a full-page picture of him smoking pot.
The picture was taken just months after he won a record 8 gold medals at the Beijing Olympics. It didn't take long for the photo to go viral, sparking major backlash.
When you knew that picture was coming out, how did you feel?
Not too good.
Phelps didn't face any, quote, marijuana charges, but the incident cost him sponsorships and led to a 3-month suspension. Many critics saw the incident as proof that, like others at the top of their game, Phelps believed his achievements made him untouchable. Vince McMahon. Former WWE owner and CEO Vince McMahon has never backed down from controversy. In fact, he's often leaned into it.
This is one of the most brazen examples in a company setting that I've seen where an executive isn't really taking a lot of steps to hide the behavior.
Throughout his career, including in recent years, he's been hit with serious allegations, from misconduct to cover-ups, revealing a troubling pattern of unchecked power.
It accuses McMahon of sharing sexually explicit photographs and videos of her with the wrestlers and recruiting men to have a threesome at the WWE headquarters, even during working hours.
McMahon blurred the lines between fiction and reality by transforming his on-screen persona into a cartoonishly vile figure, openly flaunting traits he was being accused of in real life.
Some of what was played for laughs as part of the character was not that funny and was, in fact, very, very serious.
Given what's now publicly known, that character feels less like satire and more like a chilling reflection of his entitlement and belief that he could manipulate both fiction and reality.
From her point of view, Vince responded by writing stories whose sole purpose was to just embarrass her.
You're gonna cry now.
Vince, don't do this! No,
You're gonna cry! You're gonna cry!
Justin Timberlake. In 2007, Justin Timberlake accepted a Brit Award. During his pre-recorded speech, the pop star pleaded with a certain somebody to, quote, stop drinking, and that they were, quote, going to get sloppy.
You know who you are. I'm speaking to you. Stop drinking, you're gonna get sloppy.
While he didn't mention anybody by name, this clip would come back to haunt Timberlake and delight Britney Spears stans 17 years later. During the early hours of June 18, 2024 in the Hamptons, Timberlake was arrested for driving while intoxicated in addition to ignoring a stop sign and not staying in his lane.
But we didn't hear anything about any accidents or any other aggravating circumstances.
Timberlake allegedly claimed that he only had, quote, 1 martini, although he refused to take a chemical test 3 times. Within the next day, he was being arraigned while his mugshot was made public.
What is this song? Oh! What?
Ezra Miller.
Fans were shocked in 2020 when a video surfaced appearing to show Miller choking a woman in an altercation at a bar in Iceland.
Ezra Miller couldn't slow down in 2022, igniting controversy left and right. On a trip to Hawaii, Miller racked up charges such as harassment, disorderly conduct, and second-degree assault. Miller walked away with a restraining order and a $500 fine, but they didn't learn their lesson. Throughout the remainder of the year, Miller was accused of grooming and burglary. While Miller pleaded not guilty to the burglary charge, they pleaded guilty to a trespassing misdemeanor, receiving a year probation.
So to that count here, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Some argued that Miller got off easy, as Warner Brothers stood by the Flash star leading up to the film's premiere. Between that movie's historic financial failure and Miller's legal troubles, though, the industry seems to be turning on them, even recasting some of their roles.
While the allegations against the star continue to mount, Warner Brothers is still slated to release The Flash next year, despite canceling a slew of other projects.
Martha Stewart.
Welcome, Martha. Welcome to Alderson, West Virginia, the prison town
that will be Martha Stewart's home for the next 5 months.
The face of a homemaking empire, Martha Stewart seemed like the last person who would find herself behind bars. That turned out not to be the case when Stewart sold her ImClone Systems shares, sparking an illegal insider trading investigation. In 2004, Stewart was found guilty of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and making false statements. Stewart only spent 5 months in prison with 2 years of probation, but some wondered if her reputation would recover. Yet it wasn't long until Stewart was back hosting TV shows, writing books, and even defining friendship goals with fellow ex-con Snoop Dogg. Whether or not Stewart's career actually benefited from the negative press, it's safe to say her prison stint didn't hurt.
I made, every now and then I would make jokes about...
I heard.
Yeah.
We had a TV.
Elizabeth Holmes.
Her boast was serious diseases like cancer would be prevented before they happened.
Elizabeth Holmes built herself up as the Steve Jobs of the medical world, promising to change healthcare through her company Theranos. Investors, the government, and the public wanted to believe Holmes's blood tests were as revolutionary as she claimed. Maybe it was wishful thinking, but people were given various reasons to trust Holmes until a select few looked closer.
What is your view of that? That they're happy to go live with a system that's still being tested and is actually failing?
Yeah, it's unconscionable. It's unethical.
When Theranos was revealed to be a colossal hoax, Holmes's reputation and net worth were wiped out. Things only got worse for Holmes from there, being found guilty on 4 criminal fraud counts. Some were upset that Holmes wasn't also found guilty of defrauding patients, but a form of justice had been served, with the face of Theranos starting her 135-month prison sentence in May 2023.
Elizabeth Holmes set to report to prison in less than 24 hours to start her 11-year sentence.
Felicity Huffman and Lachlan.
2 actresses facing real-life drama in a cheating scandal made for Hollywood.
What do Lynette from Desperate Housewives and Aunt Becky from Full House share in common? That's right, they both have twin sons. The actresses behind these characters also have something in common: the 2019 Varsity Blues scandal. Huffman and Lachlan were among several others accused of buying their children's way into college.
Lachlan and her fashion designer husband are accused of paying $500,000 to guarantee admission for their 2 daughters into USC.
In Huffman's case, she reportedly paid someone $15,000 to take the SATs for her daughter. Huffman pleaded guilty to conspiracy, as did Lachlan. Along with fines and community service, both would do time. Huffman was sentenced to 14 days, serving only 12, while Lachlan faced a harsher punishment of 2 months. Since then, Lachlan made fun of herself on Curb Your Enthusiasm, while Huffman booked a guest spot on Criminal Minds Evolution.
Oh, you gotta give the guy your valet ticket.
Oh, no, I'm good. I got this.
A handicap sticker?
It's fantastic. I can park anywhere.
Lindsay Lohan.
I want you to listen carefully. You were to serve 300 days in the county jail.
Substance use and an intrusive paparazzi didn't help Lindsay Lohan during her darkest hours. At the end of the day, though, her actions were her own. The actress was given plenty of chances, going to rehab following 1 DUI arrest, only to be caught driving under the influence again shortly after. While Lohan got off with probation and the shortest of jail stints, she repeatedly failed to meet the court's demands.
Fans and photographers tried to catch a glimpse of the young star as if they were watching a celebrity strut the red carpet.
For violating her probation, Lohan was ordered to spend 90 days in jail and another 3 months in inpatient rehab, although she only served 14 days supposedly because of overcrowding. Lohan later faced jail time for the theft of a necklace and violating probation, but overcrowding cut her stay short again and again.
I said I made a mistake. I went to a club, and then I drank and I drove home, and that's not the right thing to do. But to put someone in that position it was very scary. It was very jarring.
Paris Hilton.
In 14 years of doing this show, I have never experienced anything close to the reaction I get when I say the following sentence: Paris Hilton is in jail.
Paris Hilton is another name that couldn't stay out of the tabloids in the 2000s. In Hilton's case, she seemed to relish the mentality that any publicity is good publicity. Hilton's notoriety climaxed in 2006 when the LAPD caught her driving intoxicated. The heiress walked away with 3 years probation, a $1,500 fine, and a suspended license.
Really? It's really pretty incredible.
Actually, we guess you could say she drove away, as Hilton got caught speeding a month later, which was just one of her probation violations. The judge threw the book at Hilton. Of course, it was a thin book, with Hilton receiving 45 days in jail. 40 of those days were spent under house arrest, but Hilton seemingly learned her lesson until her next arrest in 2010.
In what way do you think you're taking back the narrative
on this?
I feel that my narrative and story for the past 2 decades has been told by the media.
Jussie Smlette.
In a statement, Chicago police say they have not identified any suspect.
With the hit show Empire in its 5th season, Jussie Smollett seemed to have it all. Jamal Lyon was not only seen as a breakthrough role for Smollett, but a trailblazing character for LGBTQIA+ people of color. Those who looked up to Smollett started to sing a different tune after 2019. At first, it appeared that Smollett was the target of a hate crime at the hands of 2 brothers.
At 2 a.m., investigators say 2 men approached Smlette, who may have recognized the actor, yelling racial and homophobic slurs.
Upon further investigation, authorities deduced that Smollett orchestrated the whole thing, paying the brothers to participate in the so-called attack. While the initial charges against Smollett were thrown out, he'd soon face another indictment regarding the false report. In 2022, Smollett was sentenced to 150 days in jail. However, the Illinois Supreme Court overturned the ruling, noting that he should not have been prosecuted a second time after the charges against him had been dismissed with a negotiated agreement. Sean Diddy Combs. Sean Diddy Combs has long been recognized for wielding significant influence both within the music industry and beyond. However, behind the mogul persona lies a pattern of behavior that can only be interpreted as deeply entitled. Several incidents and accusations have reinforced a perception that Combs believed his wealth and fame enabled him to control and intimidate others.
More legal trouble for Sean Diddy Combs. 6 new lawsuits filed against him.
Diddy is currently facing a mountain of lawsuits and a federal prosecution alleging abuse and indecent misconduct, among other things.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways.
While he has denied all allegations, the sheer number of claims, paired with past behavior, paints a picture of a man who has long believed he was above accountability.
Sean Diddy Combs, a music mogul, is facing a series of new civil lawsuits, including allegations he sexually assaulted 2 teenagers.
O.J. Simpson.
Are you capable of killing somebody?
I would say no.
In 1994, former NFL running back and megastar O.J. Simpson was charged with the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. The ensuing trial, dubbed the trial of the century, ended in an acquittal. Many continue to believe Simpson's fame and fortune gave him an unfair advantage in court, bolstered by a dream team of high-profile lawyers. But Simpson's belief that he was untouchable didn't end there. In 2007, he led an armed group into a Las Vegas hotel to retrieve sports memorabilia, resulting in a conviction for robbery and kidnapping.
The victim stated that one of the suspects involved in the robbery was O.J. Simpson.
Simpson would continue to flaunt his tainted celebrity status right up until his passing in 2024. Harvey Weinstein.
We're going to begin this half hour with the latest on Harvey Weinstein's arrest and a look at what his defense strategy may be as some of his accusers speak for the first time since he was charged.
The Me Too movement has shined a spotlight on numerous big names accused of abusing their power, including Bill Cosby, Danny Masterson, and R. Kelly. Yet no downfall shook up the industry more than Harvey Weinstein's. For decades, Weinstein's aggressive behavior was something of an open secret. It wasn't until dozens of women came forward in 2017 that many realized the full extent of Weinstein's crimes.
Weinstein is a vicious, serial sexual predator.
With his list of accusers eventually exceeding 100, Weinstein would be trialed in New York and Los Angeles, being found guilty in both cases. Weinstein's New York verdict was controversially overturned in 2024 due to, quote, egregious errors. While a retrial is planned, his separate California conviction ensures his continued incarceration.
Once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, tonight, Weinstein is now behind bars. He faces up to 29 years in prison.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Donald Trump.
Count 1 is guilty. That is a felony charge. Count 1, falsifying business records. Count 2, also guilty.
Donald Trump has faced a revolving door of court appearances since 2023, but the most prominent trial thus far concerned hush money allegedly paid to Stormy Daniels amid the 2016 election. On May 30th, 2024, the former president was found guilty on all 34 counts regarding falsifying business records.
Well, if he's guilty on 12, I'm going to assume he's going to be guilty on all 34 because it means that the jury bought what the prosecution's theory was.
This wasn't the first time Trump lost a high-profile case, being found liable for defamation and abuse against E. Jean Carroll only a few months earlier. However, this was Trump's first criminal conviction. Regardless of his legal woes, Trump would go on to win the 2024 presidential election, becoming the 47th president of the United States.
Former president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, a convicted felon 34 times over.
What's the most criminal example of entitlement you've ever witnessed on the celebrity circuit? Let us know in the comments.
What exactly happened? Tell people what exactly happened.